Comstock of the OIC is situated here in Pakistan. The OIC adopted a 10-year action plan to combat Islamophobia and extremism in 2005. It established the Islamophobia Observatory to monitor and address global anti-Muslim sentiments. At the 47th session of OIC Council of Foreign Ministers in Niger in 2020, March 15th was unanimously adopted as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia through a resolution tabled by Pakistan. Pakistan led the OIC initiative to secure adoption of a landmark resolution by the United Nations General Assembly to designate 15th March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. This resolution was adopted with the unanimous approval of UNGA on 15th March 2022. Being a strong proponent of human rights, the OIC established the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission, IPHRC, in 2011. This commission focuses on the rights of women and children while advocating the right to education and development, with a special emphasis on human rights education. Its goal is to counter Islamophobia and draw global attention to the rights of Muslim minorities. The human rights situation in Palestine is one of its serious concerns. The 8th OIC Ministerial Conference on Women adopted an important resolution on the protection and empowerment of women. Pakistan is one of the founding members of the OIC and has played an active role in the organization since its inception. Pakistan has a proud history of hosting major OIC events, including summits and Council of Foreign Ministers (CFM) meetings. Pakistan's primary focus is on unity, brotherhood, and prosperity of the Muslim Ummah. Pakistan is proud to host the 48th session of the OIC CFM in partnering for unity, justice, and development. We welcome you all to Pakistan. Allahu Akbar.
Excellencies, I will now invite His Excellency Hasumi Masudo, Chair of the 47th session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, to commence the formal proceedings of the session.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Que la paix et la bénédiction d'Allah soient sur les plus nobles de tous les messagers, le prophète Mohammed, ainsi que sa famille et ses honorables compagnons. Excellences, honorables participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Avec l'aide d'Allah, nous déclarons
with the assistance of God, we declare open the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. May I be allowed, Excellency, to take the floor from the podium for a brief intervention. In the name of God, most merciful, most compassionate, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the ministers, honorable ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Allow me first of all to address my sincere gratitude to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz bin Al Saud, for his sustained support to our organization and towards all the goodwill extended to us in terms of achieving certain attainments during our chairmanship, and that they continue to working for the benefit of our Ummah. Our congratulations go to His Excellency Mr. Shah Muhammad Qureshi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and Chairman of the 48th session of CFM, and for the goodwill and good measures taken for the success of this session. Allow me also to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Hussein Ibrahim Taha for his election, to the post of Secretary General of the OIC. May Allah guide you on your and accompany you in your tasks. The goals and our history are well known. I'd like to express congratulations to the Secretary General and the other colleagues who accompanied us in our plans against COVID-19. It is within this context that our session, whose theme is establishing a partnership for unity, justice, and development. How could we have a more noble goal than vanquishing poverty and ensuring stability in our countries, in the Ummah? This theme translates our will and determination, for there cannot be a partnership without equity, without justice, and the respect of these values are conducive to development. This is to underline the importance of this theme of our organization and of this session. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the ministers, the 47th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers that was held in Niamey under the chairmanship of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation, Mr. Galak Onkorong, adopted a number of resolutions, some of which have been translated through activities over the past 2 years of our chairmanship. Our chairmanship has, of course, been marked by the pandemic of COVID-19. Allow me, however, to share a number of these achievements. As a matter of fact, Niger held a number of seminars, both in person and online, that brought together a number of experts. In person, we held seminars on the challenges facing our Ummah in the combat against extremism and fanaticism in Africa, particularly within the youth framework. This has allowed us to exchange with youth views and take necessary measures for the benefit of the youth. We have also held 2 meetings, one regarding the contact group on Jammu and Kashmir, of which Niger is a member, and extended its support to the pertinent resolution of the OIC and of the Security Council of the United Nations. The second took place on the Al-Quds Sharif. I wish to underline our belonging to this committee and our consistent support to the Palestinian cause until they achieve their full fundamental rights. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, during our chairmanship we have conducted discussions and a number of intergovernmental activities. The text adopted will be submitted for your consideration. I have in mind the rules of procedure on the meetings of the CFM and draft resolution of 47, draft resolution of rules of procedure for the contact groups, subject of the resolution 4/48, concerning the rules of procedure governing the action of the non-member states of the OIC. It has been discussed and will need further re-examination by experts. A number of discussions that we have undertaken with the expert groups have not been followed with positive results. Therefore, there is a need for enrichment and consensus. Concerning the encounter between the experts on violent extremism that we have carried out in collaboration with the General Secretariat without positive results. I wish to underline here that you have here an important opportunity to carry out and continue these discussions. Once again, I'd like to express thanks to you for your support for the achievement of the ambitions of the OIC in the Sahel region. This initiative will allow us to take into consideration the program of this part of the Ummah. On a different plan, I would like to encourage you for the pertinent views expressed during the brainstorming session. These exercises must continue to improve the forward march of our organization. In this respect, we need to continue to consider the possibilities available for proceeding to rotation of members similar to the Security Council, and to also put an end to the committee group. And I would like to thank again the authorities of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the their efforts for the success of this session. Wassalamu alaikum.
Je vous remercie. Donc, je voudrais profiter pour proclamer la composition des membres du bureau de la 48e session.
Announce the composition of the committee as follows for the 48th session. Chairman, Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Vice Chairman, State of Palestine, Republic of Cameroon, and Republic of Yemen. And then as Rapporteur, Republic of Niger. Therefore, I would like to invite the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan to come and take the succession of our chairmanship.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Thank you, Excellency Mr. Hosseini Massoumi, Minister for Republic of Niger, for your commendable work as Chair of the 47th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers. It is my privilege, indeed, to steer the proceedings of this august gathering. I will now, as the Chair, invite I think I have to make the opening statement first. I will now, with your permission, Excellencies, make the opening statement. Honorable Prime Minister Imran Khan, Secretary General Haseen Brahim Taha, Royal Highnesses, Honorable Foreign Ministers, Excellencies, Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the 48th session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, themed on unity, justice, and development. It is a matter of pride for us to host this meeting in 2022, which marks the 75th anniversary of Pakistan's independence. We commend the leadership role of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as the OIC Summit Chair. We also express profound gratitude to the OIC General Secretariat for facilitating this important meeting. Let me also express our highest appreciation to the Government of Niger for hosting the last CFM and leading the organization during the past year. Distinguished delegates, I am confident that our work during the next 2 days will be guided by the eternal Islamic values of amity and brotherhood, as embodied in the Quran and the teachings of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. The OIC is the collective voice of nearly 2 billion Muslims. It is a bridge among Muslim nations and between the Muslim world and the international community. Promoting solidarity and cooperation within the Muslim Ummah is one of the central pillars of Pakistan's foreign policy. As chair of the OIC CFM during 22-23, Pakistan's overarching goal shall be to solidify this bridging role further. Distinguished delegates, I want to take this opportunity to reflect on some of our collective recent achievements. Indeed, a consequence of our partnership for unity, justice and development, the very theme of the OIC CFM. We met in this hall last December, uniting within an exceptionally short span of time for the extraordinary session of the CFM on Afghanistan. Together, we made some historic and concrete decisions. We agreed to establish the OIC Humanitarian Trust Fund. We appointed a special envoy of the OIC Secretary General. We launched an Afghanistan food security program. We strengthened OIC's presence in Afghanistan by reinforcing the OIC mission in Kabul. These actions that we took continue to go a long way with helping our Muslim brothers and sisters in Afghanistan in their greatest time of need. Also, you will recall, at the last OIC CFM in Niamey, we came together to call for an International Day to combat Islamophobia. Today, I'm proud to stand before you with the Muslim Ummah welcoming the recent designation of 15th March as the International Day to combat Islamophobia by the UN General Assembly. The International Day to combat Islamophobia was designated such owing to our unity as the OIC. Pakistan is gratified to have played its role in garnering consensus on this important issue. Through the observance of this day, the OIC will enhance greater global awareness of Islamophobia and advance solutions through collective action. Further, while recounting our achievements, I also want to touch upon the tremendous work being done by our collective platforms. COMSTEC has been instrumental in enhancing cooperation and coordination in scientific and technological fields, including through partnerships, capacity building, and joint research programs. It is playing a leading role in the implementation of OIC Science and IT Agenda 2026. Pakistan is pleased to host the COMSTEC headquarters in Islamabad. Since its inception, Islamic Development Bank has to date mobilized $65 billion for investment and development assistance aid. It is one institution which has consistently been rated AAA across all international rating agencies. The Islamic Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, based in Karachi, is galvanizing investment, influencing policy, making and undertaking initiatives for development of the private sector. I mention some of these achievements to you all here today, not to blow our own trumpets, but rather for these to serve as a blueprint for constructive and tangible action and as an impetus for collective action moving forward. Distinguished delegates, we are witnessing unprecedented turbulence at the global level. Conflict in Ukraine, which has rekindled East-West tensions, threatens international peace and security. A new and destabilizing global arms race is underway. Conflicts among and within nations have proliferated. Political and military blocs are vying for more power at the cost of global equilibrium. World trade and growth are declining under the weight of technology wars. Inequality has become a defining feature of our times. The COVID-19 pandemic has increased inequalities through greater debt burdens, fiscal deficits, and liquidity crunch. Rising commodity prices will further accentuate inequalities, erode development gains, and hinder progress towards sustainable development goals. Climate change is accelerating and making parts of our Earth inhospitable and warmer than ever. The Muslim world is faced with conflicts in the Middle East, prolonged foreign occupation, and the denial of the right to self-determination, most notably to the people of Palestine and Kashmir. The Muslim world's resentment is increasing due to frequent external interventions in Muslim countries. Distinguished delegates, left unaddressed, these conflicts and disputes undermine our unity and solidarity, expose our countries to foreign interference and intervention, fuel terrorism and extremism, and deflect attention from our development goals and the welfare of our peoples. To help forge a collective response and under the theme of partnering for unity, justice, and development, I would like to focus on three specific challenges. First, partnering for unity by jointly addressing the challenges and conflicts within the Ummah. Second, uniting for justice for the rights of Muslims under occupation and conflicts with countries beyond our Ummah. This should also include the urgency of addressing the pervasive Islamophobia facing Muslims in non-Muslim majority countries. Third, partnering for development by effectively addressing the triple global crisis of COVID-19, development, and climate change. Distinguished delegates, the Holy Quran says to the believers, "Hold fast, all of you, to the cord of Allah and be not divided." In this era of global turmoil, the situation of Muslims in many parts of the world is heart-wrenching. Currently, more than 60% of all conflicts in the world exist in Muslim countries. From Yemen to Syria to the Sahel, the range of conflicts in the Muslim world and their intensity is palpable. These are festering wounds on the body politic of Islam. More than 2/3 of all refugees worldwide come from just 5 countries: Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Somalia. Above all, the Muslim countries are hosting the largest number of refugees. While we must work to prevent outside interference in the Muslim world, we alone can find solutions to internal fissures and challenges. The key to ending these conflicts and disputes is comprehensive engagement and cooperation among the Islamic countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the Islamic world is endowed with both natural and human resources that are unmatchable. We are home to over 1/4 of the world's entire youth. This unparalleled youth bulge is yearning for opportunities and progress. It is a harbinger of innovation, industry, and growth. Prime Minister Imran Khan has declared the year 2022 as investment in the youth. Building on this potential, it is time for the Ummah to forge a collective response to the current turmoil inside its borders and the ongoing global transition. We must be a reliable partner in forging unity, justice, and development across the globe, but not anyone's accomplice in aggression or domination. To this end, I propose convening an OIC ministerial conference during 22-23. This conference, among others, could assess the need for establishing a peace and security architecture akin to all other regional organizations. This conference should also discuss how the OIC can and must strengthen itself by developing and deploying tools for conflict prevention, mediation, reconciliation, and peace building. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, partnering for justice is an injunction from the Quran. Allah enjoins Muslims to be upholders of justice, witnesses for Allah. The vision behind the OIC creation was to raise the united voice of the Islamic Ummah against the injustices perpetrated against Palestinian Muslims under occupation. But even 50 years of the OIC establishment, after 50 years of the OIC establishment, we are far from seeing justice for Muslims in many parts of the world. The Muslims of Palestine and the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir are still reeling under subjugation. For the last 7 decades, they have struggled to achieve their inalienable right to self-determination. Under the relevant United Nations resolutions, a permanent solution to the Palestinian question with the pre-1967 borders and Al-Quds al-Sharif as the capital of a viable, independent and contiguous Palestinian state is essential. Similarly, Kashmir continues to bleed. The threat of genocide is most imminent in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The RSS BJP Hindutva-inspired government in India has unleashed a reign of terror by an occupation force of 900,000 in IIOJK since the 5th of August 2019. Akin to the situation in Palestine, this is accompanied by illegal efforts to change the demographic structure of the occupied territory and transform it into a Muslim minority region. This is a clear violation of international law, particularly the 4th Geneva Convention. Indian actions violate the resolutions of the UN Security Council and the OIC on Jammu and Kashmir. The illegal acts increased the threat of a conflict between India and Pakistan. Kashmiris are looking towards their Muslim brothers and sisters for support. India's violence against Muslims is not limited to IIOJK. Civil society organizations and independent observers have warned that Muslims in Hindutva-controlled India are also living under the threat of genocide. Our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said that believers are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffers, the whole body responds to it with wakefulness and fever. It is incumbent to resolve these challenges by partnering with the international community as well. Beyond adopting resolutions, we must take concrete and tangible steps towards permanent solutions. A similar resolve and unity is needed in countering the ideologies of hate, such as Islamophobia and right-wing racism. Repeated incidents of desecration of the Holy Quran and reprinting of caricatures have seriously hurt the sentiments of Muslims across the world. They also cause great anguish within the Islamic world. While we welcome the recent designation of 15th of March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia by the UN General Assembly, we believe the appointment of the OIC Secretary General's Special Envoy on Islamophobia during this CFM would be a concrete step in coordinating such collective action. It should be our shared objective to ensure that deliberate insults and defamation of all religions, including Islam, should also be criminalized, and we must be united to achieve this. I propose that the Secretary General OIC develop a comprehensive report on the theme of partnering for justice and present recommendations to the next OIC CFM on how the OIC, through proactive and innovative diplomacy, could strengthen its role in securing justice for the long oppressed Muslims facing hateful ideologies and occupation. Distinguished delegates, to forge partnerships for development, the OIC countries must mobilize international support for a comprehensive strategy that should include: 1. Vaccine equity. Everyone, everywhere, must be vaccinated against COVID-19. 2. Increased development financing. This can be ensured through comprehensive debt relief and restructuring, expanded ODA, redistribution of at least half of the unutilized SDRs to developing countries, and provision of the promised climate finance. 3rd, accelerated climate action. The agreement reached at Glasgow must be the baseline for future discussions. The OIC must call for additional commitments by the international community to achieve the agreed mitigation targets, support for adaptation and loss and damage in developing countries due to climate change. 4. The resolute action against illicit financial flows, corruption, and illegal transfer of assets have adversely impacted many Muslim countries, including Pakistan. The OIC countries must develop a comprehensive legal framework to halt and reverse the illicit financial flows and stop this grave economic injustice. We must call for the implementation of the recommendations of the UN Secretary General's FACTI panel. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, underdevelopment, poverty, and corruption remain serious threats to the future security and stability of our societies. In an era of economic and financial unpredictability, development partnerships among OIC member states would be of vital importance. OIC member states have tremendous natural and human resources which must be utilized effectively through trade, joint research and development projects, trainings, and investment. To promote research and technological innovation in the Muslim world, we need to synergize the Muslim scientific and intellectual pool and fully utilize the platform of COMSTEC to achieve the OIC STI Agenda 2026. We also need to take advantage of a preferential system of trading among the OIC member states. In this regard, the framework agreement needs to be ratified expeditiously by OIC. We should also come together and build convergences on removing international barriers to development. Our common ground on the need to reform the global economic architecture will strengthen the voices calling to make it equitable. Distinguished delegates, before I conclude, I would like to draw your attention to the situation in Afghanistan. While the progress we made at the extraordinary session of the CFM on Afghanistan was timely, we need to build on them. Addressing the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan and preventing a collapse of the Afghan economy must remain our top priorities. In doing so, we must encourage and support the efforts of the Afghan authorities to eliminate Daesh. Effective strategies are also needed to deal with other terrorist groups in Afghanistan like TTP, ETIM, IMU, and Al-Qaeda. We must guard against spoilers that wish to continue destabilizing Afghanistan and using its territory to promote terrorism. A peaceful, stable, inclusive, prosperous, and connected Afghanistan is in the best interests of us all. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for OIC to strengthen and equip itself to address contemporary challenges and conflicts confronting the Muslim Ummah. Pakistan stands ready to play its part as a bridge builder in promoting regional and OIC-driven solutions to these conflicts and disputes. With the hope and prayer for true OIC unity and solidarity, I thank you all. I now invite His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, Foreign Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for his speech. He will speak on behalf of the OIC Summit Chair.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. دولة السيد عمران خان رئيس وزراء جمهورية باكستان الإسلامية، معالي السيد شاه محمود قريشي وزير خارجية جمهورية باكستان الإسلامية، معالي الأمين العام
Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the Secretary General of the OIC, dear participants, I wish to express my thanks for the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the lavish hospitality accorded to us. I wish them full success in the chairmanship of the current session. I wish to seize this opportunity to congratulate the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and its people for the 75th commemoration of the independence of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and we wish them more prosperity and success. I wish to extend my thanks to the Republic of Niger for its chairmanship of the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers in spite of COVID-19, and I congratulate them for the achievements made by the Islamic Republic of Pakistan in adopting a day to fight against Islamophobia. There are also more efforts made to achieve greater success in the Islamic Ummah. I wish to extend my thanks to the people working in the OIC Secretariat under the leadership of the Secretary General for the sound organization of this meeting. I congratulate them on the continued effort to achieve the noble goals of this organization. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia believes in the role of the OIC in consolidating Islamic solidarity and in protecting common interests to preserve the noble, lofty values of Islam. This will lead to greater cooperation and understanding on the basis of mutual respect among all cultures and religions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has clear values in consolidating Islamic cooperation and brotherhood among member states with a view to enforcing coordination to face the common challenges. And there was the meeting on Afghanistan in December 2020, and this was a successful meeting which led to the establishment of the Humanitarian Trust Fund under the IDB. Dr. Tariq Al-Khatib was appointed as a representative of this fund. The Kingdom reiterates the importance of the role of Islamic countries to achieve peace and security in Afghanistan. We call for further efforts to support the Afghan people so that they can overcome the tragic situation they have at the moment. We hope that Afghanis will participate in building the future of their country through dialogue among the various components of the Afghani societies, and to avoid using Afghani land as for terrorist activities. We also call for the respect of human rights and the rights of women to work and study on the basis of our values. Dear participants, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reaffirms the centrality of the Palestinian cause. It supports all the international efforts at reviving the peace process among the conflicting parties and the return to direct negotiations to settle all the standing issues between the two parties. We reaffirm our support to the Palestinian people in order to achieve a lasting peaceful settlement of the Palestinian cause with the establishment of an independent Palestinian state and in line with international resolutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the continued escalation by the Houthi group reflects the rejection of political settlement. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia calls for the implementation of the UN resolutions to neutralize the negative impact of Houthi groups and to stop importing arms in Yemen. This is a threat to the region. We reiterate the importance of the role of brothers to apply more pressure on the Houthis so that they can stop jeopardizing maritime security. On the basis of reducing the suffering of the Yemeni people, we contribute to the humanitarian action and we provide humanitarian support to the Yemen people. The participants, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia stands by the Muslim communities to defend their values as sustained by our region. We also provide support to the people of Jammu Kashmir. We also support the efforts made by the international community to reach a just solution to the Jammu Kashmir issue. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is making steps to achieve its ambitious vision. We hope that this will be a model for the rest of the world. I would like to seize this opportunity to extend my thanks who have accepted to support the event in our country, and this will promote our values. We reiterate our support for the efforts made by this organization. We believe that this is the second international organization. It represents the third population of the world. We hope that this meeting will lead to success and will achieve more prosperity for our people. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Brother Faisal, for your speech. I now invite the Honorable Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Countries, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Brahim Taha, for his statement.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إن شاء الله.
Your Highnesses, Excellencies, Honorable ladies and gentlemen, it is gratifying for me, first of all, to express in my own name and on behalf of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation my sincere thanks and appreciation and gratitude to the government and people of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for the warm welcome extended to us and the excellent and serious cooperation and coordination that we have noted in the preparation for this present 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the OIC. Whilst we congratulate the Islamic Republic of Pakistan on its assumption of the presidency of this current session, I would like to express my deep appreciation for its strong commitment to the OIC and its valuable contributions to promoting joint Islamic action. Such a firm commitment is bound to ensure the success of the present session. It is indeed for us a great pleasure that this session coincides with the Islamic Republic of Pakistan's 75th Independence Day. As we extend our warm congratulations to it, we appreciate the achievements it has made for its people and the challenges it has overcome with a strong will and determination. We wish the Islamic Republic of Pakistan further progress and prosperity. I would also like to commend the efforts of the Republic of Niger during its presidency of the CFM's 47th session under difficult circumstances overshadowed by the COVID-19 pandemic. That session has been crowned with full success and given prompt support for the forward march. I would like here to renew my high appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the host country, chair of the 14th session of the Islamic Summit, for its sustained support of the OIC's activities and the General Secretariat's work under the patronage of the custodian of two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and of his Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Vice Chairman. May Allah preserve them both. Your Excellencies and Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to renew to you and your governments my thanks and appreciation for the support you have given to me while assuming my duties as Secretary of our prestigious General Secretariat of the OIC, and to assure you of my firm commitment to work as per the requirements of the OIC's Charter to defend the issues of the Islamic Ummah and observe the decisions and resolutions adopted by the Islamic Summit and the Council of Foreign Ministers. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome the distinguished representatives of the international bodies and regional ones, partners of the OIC. Their presence is a testimony of the interest they attach to the role of the organization in contributing to peace, security, and development worldwide. The OIC is satisfied with the dialogue and cooperation it entertains with them all. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our present session is being held under the theme of partnership for unity, justice and development, a theme that is quite topical for the achievement of the aspirations of our peoples with the OIC in this particular conjuncture in which the Islamic Ummah finds itself confronting multiple types of challenges. Today, the Palestinian cause, the OIC's central issue, is still facing severe challenges with the persistence of the Israeli occupation policies based on colonial settlement, the Judaization of the city of Al-Quds, and the assault on the holy sites, especially the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque. In addition to the continued murders, confiscation of lands, house demolition, arbitrary arrests, racial discrimination, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian people. These illegal practices constitute a flagrant violation of the relevant international law, covenants, and resolutions. The perpetuation of these Israeli crimes and attacks against the Palestinian people, their land and their sanctities, makes it imperative for us to strengthen the spirit of solidarity and joint Islamic action and realize the political will through diplomatic efforts in international fora in support of the rights of the Palestinian people and confronting attempts to change the historical and legal status of the city of Al-Quds al-Sharif with firmness and in implementation of the relevant resolutions adopted by the successive summit and CFM's resolutions. The issue of Jammu and Kashmir is also a just cause that has not found a solution for such a long time. And we oppose the illegal actions by India on August 5th, 2019, to change the internationally disputed status of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In last November, a high-level delegation from the General Secretary of the OIC, led by the Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs, Special Representative of Jammu and Kashmir, with the participation of the Assistant Secretary General for Humanitarian, Cultural and Social Affairs, effected a visit to Pakistan and Azad Jammu and Kashmir within the framework of the implementation of the mandate entrusted to the General Secretariat under Resolution 1047 on the dispute of Jammu and Kashmir as adopted by the Council of Foreign Ministers. On the other hand, the report of the submission session in question is submitted for your attention. The OIC is called upon to redouble its efforts in support of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, including their rights to self-determination in conformity with the resolutions of the Security Council of the United Nations. The developments of these issues will be considered by the contact group on Jammu and Kashmir, which will meet here in Islamabad on the sidelines of our meeting. With regard to Afghanistan, we have followed all the aspects and the implementation of the resolutions issued from the 7th Ministerial Council held in Islamabad on 19 December 2021. In Islamabad, in this regard, I've assigned my special envoy to Afghanistan directives to cooperate with the Islamic Development Bank that has graciously prepared the legal framework and the legal fund as established by the CFM. The fund will be officially launched on the margin of this present session. On the other hand, I have dispatched my special envoy to Afghanistan, and he has held broad discussions with the ministers in Kabul concerning the efforts of the organization in the humanitarian, political, and economic field. I submit to your kind attention a special report on the progress achieved in the implementation of the resolution on the humanitarian situation in Afghanistan on the aspects linked to this first visit. Therefore, we shall continue dialogue with the authorities in Afghanistan, with international partners, with the objective to achieve peace, security, and development in this member country of the OIC. With regard to the aggression of the Republic of Armenia against the Republic of Azerbaijan, and a meeting and an agreement was held on November 2020 and put an end to the aggressions. Azerbaijan expressed concern in the face of non-observance of the Republic of Armenia of its obligations as stipulated in the agreement between the concerned parties. The General Secretariat concerned with the delayed settlement of the conflicts and under the CFM and the International Council will continue its interest of this issue. Excellencies, honorable ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Yemen still causes deep concern for our organization, which has committed itself to support Yemen's unity, sovereignty, and independence and territorial integrity, alleviating the human suffering and the conflict on the basis of international law, namely the initiative of the Gulf states and the executive mechanisms and the conclusion of the Conference of National Dialogue in Yemen and the resolutions of international legality, especially the Resolution 2216/2015 of the United Nations Security Council. In this context, the General Secretariat of the OIC salutes and hails the idea that the General Secretariat hails the initiative announced by the Ministerial Council of the Gulf States to organize Yemeni consultations at the Saudi capital in Riyadh at the end of the present month. An initiative that will make it possible to fill the gap between the Yemeni brothers and to engage in an action to stop the blood selling, and to continue the action and for the stability and security in the region. In this context, we renew our appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for its unremitting efforts and initiatives to contribute to expediting a peaceful and lasting solution to the Yemeni crisis. I also reiterate the thanks and appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Emirates for their solidarity with our organization in the face of the condemned attacks by the Houthi militants against civilians and civilian targets. Over the past period, developments in Libya, in Sudan and Somalia have been a subject of continued consideration of the General Secretariat, which encouraged all parties concerned to adopt dialogue, and we today encourage them to redouble their efforts to overcome differences and lay the basis for stability and peace, for development, and to ensure that the interest of their peoples prevails. With regard to Syria, the General Secretariat continues supporting the efforts of the United Nations to achieve a peaceful solution to the crisis in conformity with the Declaration of Geneva and the resolution of the Security Council. With regard to Iraq, the convening in October 2021 of the anticipated early elections represent a positive element that we have registered and that we hail. As you all know, the political and security challenges and developments faced by the Sahel countries, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, and the Lake Chad Basin, Cameroon, Chad, Niger and Nigeria, as well as Central Republic of Africa, Mozambique and Guinea, reflects an important interest for the OIC. We underline the need to increase efforts to achieve peace and stability in these regions, and we call on the member states and the OIC institutions, as well as international partners, to help these regions to face up to the challenges confronting them. It is within this framework, to give a new launch for our organization in Africa, including in the Lake Chad and Africa, that I paid a visit in the current month to Chad, Cameroon, Niger and Senegal. And I had an opportunity to discuss with the leaders in those countries regarding these issues and ways and means to strengthen the OIC support to those countries. On the other hand, the delegations, high-level delegations from the OIC General Secretariat, led by the Assistant Secretary for Political Affairs, Dr. Dubey, paid a visit to Abuja to hold discussions with the leaders of the Commission of the OCDAO on ways and means to strengthen cooperation and coordination of efforts so as to contribute to peace, security and development in the region. Strengthening the positive role of our organization in Africa requires as well the designation of special envoy. To this effect, I recommend to your August Council to designate Dr. Nasiru Baku Arifari, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Benin, as special envoy of the OIC General Secretariat for Africa, and I hope that he will benefit of your support. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Bosnia is facing a preoccupying situation due to certain Serb parties and to their involvement and offensive, and this requires support for Bosnia-Herzegovina to help it preserve its territorial unity, its stability and sovereignty and prosperity. Our organization expresses as well its full support to the efforts in favor of a global and just resolution to the Cypriot issue, and its support to the Turkish Cypriot Muslims in conformity with the parent resolutions of the OIC. Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the well-being and defense of human rights of Muslim communities in the non-member states in conformity with the principles and objectives as included in the Charter of the organization form a priority also in our action. We continue increasing our efforts to this end through visits and dialogue with the leaders of the concerned parties. In this context, we express our profound concern with regard to the situation of Rohingya, and we call on the international community to act in an efficient manner, an urgent manner, to ensure proper conditions for the voluntary return of the people, the refugees, the Rohingyas, to their original homeland. We register our support for judicial action with the International Court of Justice for the recovering of listenings in support of the Rohingyas to put an end to all the forms of violence against them. I should like on this occasion to pay a special tribute to Gambia, to the Republic of Gambia, for their front-land role in support of the affairs and the meeting of the committee today against the violation of human rights against the Rohingyas would allow us to find a solution and to face up to the offensive in this regard. Honorable participants, according to the official reports of the Observatory of Islamophobia in the OIC, the reputation of the Muslim community in a number of countries is subject to defamation at a time when action is increasing against Muslims due to the rise of extreme right. All Islamic states are called upon to act together against such a situation and take necessary measures to fight against racist and xenophobic actions at all levels and to establish pillars of security and peace. In this regard, we dare rely on the member states to act together with the General Secretariat against Islamophobia. On the other hand, we need to collaborate with all the members of the international community to combat this phenomenon. It is with satisfaction that we have welcomed the adoption in 15th March by the General Assembly of the United Nations of a resolution designating the 15th of March of each year as an International Day of the fight against Islamophobia. We express the hope that it will contribute to favor a dialogue at the international level of a culture of tolerance and peace. Our fight against terrorism is also an absolute priority for our organization. In order to face up to this phenomenon, we have established a multidimensional strategy on the basis of international law and the